Welcome back, everybody, to Unconditional Surrender in Europe, game designed by Salvatore Vasta, published by GMT Games. This is the East First campaign series. I believe we are now going into August of 1942. As a quick recap, Russia was collapsed in August of 1941, which did lengthen, as you'll see on the turn track, it lengthens the game to July of 1946. And of course, it delayed U.S. entry by something like 3 months, I think. So we will get right into it. First things that we're doing here. We go into declarations of war. Nobody has any of that. Economies. Germany's down by one factory, but has economic reforms, which keeps them at 26. The French normally would only have 17 or 14 because their factories are at 7, but the Americans give them an extra one, so they have 15. And the British are at 24, and the Russians are at 18. We go now into strategic warfare. The Western Allies last turn did not do any bombing. I was saving my bomber for strategic reasons. I was thinking I was going to need way more airplane sorties for both the BEF and the Western Desert Force, so I didn't use the bomber last turn. I probably should have, but I didn't. So it's 2-0, and then he played. We both agreed that we were playing our markers here. I think we went to combat commitment, just to follow form. It was, again, one of those no-brainer things. We both played our markers. He rolled a 6, so he was halved down to 3. I only rolled a 3 plus 2, so I was... even if I'd have gotten an 8, I'd been halved down to 4, so he was going to get a factory back. It was just a matter of me not losing a factory. We both ended up at 3. So the Germans get back their lost factory. Why am I bringing up the turn track? So he'll be at full production next turn. And then he rolled a 4 to get back his submarine. And I also rolled a 4. So both the submarine and the Ultra are going to come back in December. And we move on to strategic move. And I believe this is where we finally correct the issue here. He had two 1 garrison German units. He's had them for a while. So he just deleted the one that was in Sevastopol. And I said, now, if you had something else you wanted to move in there, go right ahead. And he did. He took the 2nd garrison from up here underneath the 3rd Luft, or 5th Luft, sorry, and put it down in Sevastopol as his last turn's strategic move. And in this turn, he went ahead and picked up his the 20th Army and just put it where he wants it to go. He can't do a replacement on it this turn, but and you'll see my little hi John there. We had an observer join us for a while, watching what was going on in this game. And then that was his thing. Now, strategic move for the West. I had to. I realized I didn't leave any kind of retreat route for the Western Desert Force, and I was like, "Why did I do that?" It's fair weather. I should have left myself a retreat route. So I took the guy that's blocking it and thought about putting him there, and then I was like, if he blows up Paris and moves down and then can bust across the Seine there, then he might have a way to kill the 2nd Guards and all sorts of things. So I ended up moving it down to the mountains, kind of preserving the French army for fighting in September was my thought. So that's why I did that. And the Soviets didn't actually have one. So we go into German operations. that was. I did point out to him that if he placed his surprise attack marker in the right place, he could get both airplanes. And he's like, yeah, I know, but I don't want to place it just yet. So he went after Dijon. He's at -2. I'm at -4. He needed to roll like a 5 or 6 to get 2 for 1 on me, and he didn't. So we each took 1 sortie there, and then he just ran it up. Got to get the French Air Force out of the battle. Then he placed his surprise attack marker, and I put up the thing so you could see all the hexes that it covered. Personally, I might have moved it to sit on Paris, just because then it would give him the 32. You know something? I just noticed something. There's 2 hexes labeled 3315. Sal, if you're watching this, there's a hex where the word France is. It says 3315, but it's actually in the 3214 row. I didn't notice that before. I wonder if that's on the printed map that way. It must be, since this is an image of the printed map. Something to fix when you do the reprint, if you can. There's 2 3315s in France, hex numbering. Anyway, that should be actually 3215. But he would have, if he had it in Paris, this is just, he still would have this airplane. This guy's going to be isolated once he takes out Calais. And this would give him the possibility of hitting the 3rd guards over here, if he can get across it. Or if he hits like the 1st North African and it retreats behind these rivers, he still would get the extra +1. So I would have probably placed it in Paris myself. But this pretty much works the same way. The other thought was to go here, but then he loses the Calais bonus, and I think he wants to make sure he clears off this coast because that's his supply line. So that's where he placed it. Then he came after me with the 3rd Luft on the 1st air. I'm still at -4, but he's only at -1 because he gets a +1 for the surprise attack marker. Rolled a 4, -1, which is a 3. I needed a 6, but I didn't get it, so I took 2. He took 1. So it worked. Next up, he moved. He started to move the 6th Luft to there, and I pointed out that he could actually fly a whole lot farther, like to there. And he's like, you know, you're right. It makes. I showed him the range of it from where it started. He's like, you're right. It makes more sense to be there because then he's closer for next turn. So, and then he activated the 2nd Panzer and went after the Alpine unit in Calais. I start off at +1 because I'm French. He starts off at +2 for German, +2 for armor, +1 for the surprise attack marker, and then -1 for the city. So starting off at +4 to +1. I believe we go to combat commitment here. And I figured I needed to make him waste some movement points to try and take Calais, so you'll see me commit my tanks, and he throws in his airplane. So it's +6 to 3, and he rolled a 1, so I only had a net 7. But I also rolled a 1, so I'm a net 4, which forces me to retreat, which I cannot do, so I'm flipped. It's back on the turn track. And now I am -1, and he's starting off at +4. He didn't have anything that could reach, and I just said no. There's no. We've set his movement points to be the correct number, and I said this is no reason to waste the tanks here. So he rolled a 2 + 4, which is a 6. So he's not rolling very well. But even with my 5 -1, it's a 4, which is a retreat, which I cannot do. So there's that. Panzer Army moves in. I move the fleets to Le Havre. And then he takes the city. I lost a will point before I moved the fleets up there for the army, and then I lost 2 more for the city. And then he still has 4 movement points left, so he's going to attack this guy here, and he's actually +7 because he's isolated. So he starts off at 2 for German, 2 for armor, 2 for isolation. That's 6. +1 for the surprise attack marker is 7. And what he did next really surprised me. We went to combat commitment. I said I'm going to save the tanks for trying to hold the Marne or the Seine or something, further south. And he actually committed on this one, which just really surprised me. But I said, okay. So now he went up to +9 to my +2. And he rolled a 15. And I managed to roll an 8. And a 15 to an 8 is enough for me to only be retreated. So I really needed that 6. If I'd rolled a 4 or less, it would have been a DD and I would have been kaputted. So instead, I'm just flipped, and he has to spend his last 2 movement points. He accidentally flipped this. Forgot he flipped this. He double clicked it when he was trying to change it, and I looked at him and said, "Really?" He said, "No, I wasn't supposed to do that." I said, "I didn't think so, because +7 to 0 is pretty much guaranteed. It's a 1 in 36 chance that I hold." And he's got other armored units that'll just blow it away anyway. So he rolled an 11, which is guaranteed at 0. Best I can get is a 6, so I would be retreated. So there's another national will for that, and he just leaves him there. Then he drops his airdrop marker on Paris, and then starts attacking with the 3rd Panzer. So we set it. Oh, we're setting his movement points there, and he's starting off at +4, I think. So I start off normally I'm +1 for British, but I'm -2 for the airdrop. So I'm starting off at -1, and he's starting off at +4 because he's +2 for German, +2 for armor, +1 for surprise attack marker, -1 for the city. So we just went through the math there. And then I threw in, he couldn't throw anything in, so I threw in the kitchen sink. I threw in the airplane. I threw in the tanks. So I got 2 for the airplane, 2 for the tank. So it's +4 to +3. He rolls a 7. I rolled a 1. 1 + 3 is 4. 7 to 4 is a DR, which is all he really needed. Just needed to get the British out of the way. Now, if I hadn't had a retreat route, I would have been flipped, and then he would have been able to kill me in his second attack. So I'm not sure if I should have stayed there and just died in place, or if I should have just retreated, like I did. I'm trying to preserve the British army because I'm feeling that the French army isn't going to hold. So that was his first attack. He still has 7 movement points left. So now he goes after the 1st North African. And then he's +4, and I'm only +1. Now I do have a tanks marker, and I go ahead and play it because this is trying to make him stay on the other side of the Marne is kind of important here. So I ended up with +3 to his +4. He has 4 movement points left. He rolled an 8, 4 + 4. I rolled a 2, +3 is a 5, and 8 to a 5 is a retreat. So I did have to retreat. Goes ahead and takes the hex. And then I believe he attacks it one more time. And it's +3 to +1 because I'm outside the surprise attack marker. This is where if this had been here instead, he would only been +6 against that that guards unit, but he would have the extra +1 here. So that's why I thought maybe in Paris it was better. Anyway, he rolled a 5. I went, ah. And I rolled a 6, so I held. So it was like, okay, well, I'm doing okay. I'm kind of expected to lose those 2 units in Calais and Paris. I thought Paris would take him a little longer, but This was kind of what I was expecting to lose so far. So he activates the first Panzer, and he goes 1, 2, 3, 4. I didn't have anything to play anymore, and he used up one of his airplanes on the third. I think he used the second lift here. No, he used the third lift, okay. So he got up to plus... He should be at plus 7. Oh no, I'm outside the surprise attack marker. So he's at plus 6 to my plus 1. He rolls a 7. I roll a 6, so I held. We had to count his movement points again. It was 1, 2, 3, 4 to there. And then 5, 6, so he had 4 movement points left after the first attack. So now he attacks again. And now he's plus 4 to plus 1. He rolled a 5. I rolled a 6. And then he attacked his last time. He got an 8. And I rolled a 1 plus 1 is a 2, so I was retreated and flipped. And then I had a quandary. I didn't know if I should retreat there or into the city. I was like, there, because I could. He said, well, you can't retreat again. I said, well, I can just retreat behind the fort. But then it just lets him walk into the city, and I'm like, if I go here, if I get another retreat, if I get lucky and get another retreat, I can retreat into the mountains outside the Rhone. So I chose to go there. So then he came across with his infantry unit, I think. So that's 2 movement points, and then 3 to attack Dijon. So he should have 3 movement points left. Oh, I'm hitting back. And he throws in his airplane, so he's plus 3 to my minus 1. He rolls a 7. And I managed to roll a 6 minus 1 is a 5, which is enough to hold the hex. So then he has to come after me again. And he's plus 1 here, and I think I reminded him that he had a tanks marker if he wanted to use it. Which he did. So then he got a 6, and I managed to not get DD'd. I rolled a 3 minus 1 is a 2. So I was retreated. I retreated into there. He took the hex, and I forgot that I had moved. He moved his Panzer onto my airplane, and we just both kind of forgot that it had to fly away. So this is me readjusting my airplanes. This one went to Marseille, and that one went to Toulon. He takes Dijon, so I lose 2 more will points. And now I think it's the Africa army is next. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So he has 1 attack. And he has plus 1 to my minus 1. He rolled a 5. I rolled a 2 minus 1 is a 3, so I get to retreat again. He goes ahead and takes the hex. So he's pretty much got himself safe here. He's supplying himself up this rail line through Paris to Calais because he has a control marker now in Paris. Therefore, my zone of control doesn't stop his supply line. Because controlled cities don't stop the zone of control, negating a supply line. Next up, not sure which one's next. Oh, he just goes ahead and moves. We're showing him that he could just get this infantry unit, could run over there. He was worried about not having anything in Paris. I said, the infantry unit can go there. This garrison unit in Stuttgart can go to Antwerp to keep me from getting a free invasion. So he's pretty okay. He was worried about me doing an invasion. I'm like, you almost want me to spend my surprise attack marker here? Because Britain's only got 24 production points, which means that would be an entire turn that I could do almost nothing to rebuild it. And, like, what can I take? I can take a low country city. If I could take Calais, you know, then it would matter because I'd give will points back to the French, but he's not going to give up Calais. Antwerp would threaten me being able to go into Lille, but, you know, just isolate the British Army and kill it. I mean, it wouldn't be that hard for him to take the British Army out. So we discussed this for a little while, and it was just kind of like, yeah, technically I can do that, so, you know, could be a problem. And what was he? He was thinking of moving it into Paris and going there, like that. It was one attack to go after the 3rd Guards. And I said, but you could go down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and attack the 3rd for 8, 9, 10, and you'd be +3 to -1. And so he was thinking about it quite hard, trying to figure out what to do, and he finally decided to go do this, trying to kill a French ground unit, because it's a will point. You know, he probably wouldn't kill the 2nd, because he'd be +3 to +2. So even if he gets a 9, I'd have to be a 1 to just be flipped. So he wouldn't get a DE on that guy. Here at -1, at +3 to -1, he could very well, because even a DD will eliminate that unit. So that's what we did, and he only rolled a 5. I rolled a 2, so I was retreated. Went into Lyon. I was showing him how I could move the Syrian unit to kind of mess up, because it's a garrison unit. I don't care if it dies. By sticking it where I showed him I could stick it, it's like it could just kind of mess up your movement. You'd have to somebody has to spend the movement points to kill it. And he's like, you know, it's probably better here because I can go many different directions. And then moves the 15th into Paris. And he moves the garrison up to Antwerp. And I think we were done. And that was him rolling for his paratrooper. He rolled the attack die instead of the blue die, and he got a 6. So the paratrooper is gone. The paradrop marker is gone for the game. And I think yes. So now we're into Western Ops, although I didn't change the marker to it. And I took the BEF out of Le Havre. I had to think about this. It's like, yeah, I could try to stay in Le Havre and hold there. My fear is that the French would collapse and I would be spread all over the place in Le Havre. And such. So instead, I moved the BEF all the way back to Brest. The Med Fleet, I gave him the chance to intercept me. He said no. Ended its turn there, and then it picked up the Canadians and brought them back to Nantes. So and I moved this airplane back there so that I could cover more of the peninsula with 2 airplanes and still cover parts of northern France. And then I just went ahead and got them out of the way. Now I think I moved some Frenchmen around. I moved this infantry unit. What am I doing? I was trying to figure out where my cities were. And him sitting where he was sitting is like he's an open invitation to getting surrounded and blown up. So I said, this guy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just jump into 7, actually. Jump into Vichy. 1st North African goes into the bend in the lower there. Is that the lower and the Allier? I move the 3rd over to the other side of Lyon. I move the Syrian up, and this is more to cut down his ability to move adjacent to Lyon without spending some movement points to kill somebody. Since I don't have to face the surprise attack marker anymore, I just have to deal with general German superiority in their army. And that cost me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I only had 15, so it left me with 10. I had a 2-point guy to build. And 6 for the airplanes. That was 8. I don't know if I moved. Okay. I thought about doing what I just showed there. Having the Western Desert Force go there and attack into Paris using an airplane. And my last tanks marker, I could be like +4 to +2. And I said, what happens if I fail? Well, if I fail, this armored unit goes 1, 2. And then you could possibly get like an infantry unit. You could take this guy off the Maginot Fort to begin with and just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6. And then this armored unit moves down, attacks me surrounded. And this guy pretty much is going to be eliminated. And like I said, I'm trying to preserve the British force while still causing him problems. So I said, no, I'm going to do the attack. I'll just go defend this bend of the Seine. That way he can't just run into Le Havre. He actually has to make me move. And I left the French tanks, 1st Tanks Army in the bend of the Loire up here. So I kind of have riverline defenses. It's the best I can do. It looks like he's going to do a southern sweep, trying to go for Lyon and Vichy and maybe run to, like maybe try to run down to Marseille or something. So that's why I have a guy in Marseille. And I think I'm done at this point. Yes. Let me go over to the Soviets. Not sure what I did over here. I think I did I do any shenanigans? Yes, I did a little bit of shenanigans. What I did is I moved infantry, this guy, moved him out of the line, put the tank in line, and I do that again, I think down here to the south somewhere. Yeah, I moved the guy that's in the airplane out behind and put the armored in the line. And I think that was it. I just wanted to get those 2 armored units in the front line. Make him start worrying about that, which is going to happen in about 6 turns. Or 1, 2, September, October, November, December. I'll roll in December, but I'm notorious for not rolling the Russians to come in right away. So there was nothing in the no supply phase. We go back to the German replacements. He has 13 left. He saved 1 in case I came up with some way to like flip a unit or something. He was kind of worried about that infantry unit in Paris. I'm kind of stuck here in the Maginot Forts. As long as he keeps someone here around Sedan or whatever, the only one I would think about abandoning is this one. To the east of, what is that? To the east of, or west of Metz. The other one, this one here, if I run out of this one, he would be able to, with his heavy artillery, be able to like get an infantry, like 3 infantry and a heavy artillery. He could get a DD on me. So these 3 here, Stuttgart, Metz, and the one in the forest, are all pretty much frozen in place. I do have one that I could possibly move, but he's making sure that I don't really have anywhere I can go to be useful. You know, it's not like he's leaving open cities that I can just run around and grab. So, Maginot Fort armies are pretty much stuck. So he spent all 12 and brought back his airplanes, to be expected. We go into the west, and then I do some 18 points. first thing I did is spent 2 to flip the Canadians up to full strength. And then with 16, I think I did airplane, airplane, convoy, and convoy. This convoy here in Nance. I forgot to take down the American convoy at this point. I do that later. I'm always forgetting the Americans because there's no production track to remind me to do something. And then the French, they flip over their infantry guy and then do their 2 airplanes. And go into Soviet replacements. They had 1 replacement way over here in Rostov. So they make that armored unit all better. And then I believe we're going to be going straight on into... Oh, the French have a build yet, too. So, I'm still not sure. Oh, the Soviets upgraded the 27th Army. And they also took off the 11th because they have to take off 2 units to put a guards unit in Leningrad. I was worried about him somehow getting a northern offensive and me not only having a regular infantry unit in there. With a guards unit there, I'm automatically +1, and then I can add in tanks or an airplane if it reaches and stuff. So Leningrad is fairly well protected. And I forgot to do the west, so we went back and did that. And I built the 2nd Guards. I put it in Lyon. I'm not sure if it should be in Lyon or if it should be over here in Toulouse. I just wasn't sure, but I went ahead and put it in Lyon. I was talking. Oh no, we're in diplomacy phase. Germans don't have anything. The West took the diplomacy marker. There was a no event. Just went ahead and threw it back in the cup. And then Soviets spent 5 to pull 1, and they got the no event right back out. So I really don't want anything to change, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to sneak, just so everybody knows what's in there, in case you haven't been paying attention. There are 5 no events and a political failure. But there also is this. There's a pro-Axis marker. So I'm trying to cut down his ability to conquers France. I don't want to give him two chances of pulling a pro marker and activating Italy. I'm fairly confident that France is going to fall. Even with all my advanced armies and stuff, I still can stop 4 panzers and surprise attack marker and, paradrop and 4 airplanes. You really can't stop the Germans from taking France. It's just trying to slow them down is all I'm trying to do. So, not any victory, and then we go to end of turn, where he gets back his... I get back my French tanks. Back my British tank. He gets his submarines. I get an Ultra, ground support, and I get an upgrade to the 8th Army. And once again, I did not do bombing. I should have, probably, because I had nothing else to do with that bomber. But I also didn't have the points to bring the bomber back down, so probably bad play on my part. But at some point, I'm going to have to start bombing again, probably next turn. Just depends on how well he does on cleaning out the French in the south. And then we went to there. And, of course, there will be no weather phase because it'll be September. Everything will be fair. And so we're done. So the Germans basically, established themselves a supply line through Calais, out of Paris and all that. So everything here is in supply. He has tanks that can come launching across the Seine and start pounding through the south here. I see a couple of garrisons dying for sure. I'm pretty sure the 2nd Guards is going to go in the 1st North African. So I see at least 2 units. Depending on how well he rolls initially, the 3rd could very well end up being gone. And then he could then possibly take Dijon and Vichy. So I'm thinking 6 or 7 points next turn, depending on how he goes about this. I did kind of slow him up from being able to go take the Channel ports, but I think he's just going to wait on that. I mean, he might make an attack here from this guy here, attack into the British. He can get a couple +5s if he uses this airplane, and +5s would be, all he needs is 1 split to force me to retreat, and then he'd be able to move somebody in to take Le Havre. So, I don't know. Maybe he'll do that. Anyway, that is August 1942. The Germans are making headway into France. France is down to 15 will. France in 1942 takes a lot to take them out. You have to take a lot of cities as well, as because they just don't have the armies to die quickly. So, anyway, I'm Gen608. If you like my videos, please subscribe. Hit that hit that thumbs up button to help the YouTube algorithms keep everything up. And until we meet again, stay safe and bye-bye.